Executive Officer of Agthia Group, Alan Smith. Morning, Alan.
Morning, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thanks very much indeed for being with us and joining us on Microsoft Teams as well, if you're watching live on Dubai One Television. Alan, this is a great set of numbers from Agthia. What's the story behind the numbers?
Look, I think a couple of things. Obviously, we talked about our growth strategy last quarter. We've completed the acquisitions of 3 companies. We consolidated our Al-Foa Dates business from Jan 1. We consolidated our Al Faisal business, our bakery business in Kuwait, at the end of January, and then our Nabil protein business based out of Jordan at the beginning of April. So significant progress made on those businesses. We're pretty happy with how they've come in. Numbers are coming through as per our expectations. And the team have done a pretty good job in that regard.
So we'll get onto those in a second because the acquisitions are interesting. But let's talk about the core business. None of us has any Agthia branded products in our fridge, but most of us will have a bottle of Alain water somewhere or other. It's one of your flagship products. How has this underlying core business of Agthia performed over the past 6 months or so? If we were to do kind of a like-for-like comparison, 2019, 2020, 21.
So if you think about the first quarter of this year, obviously we were lapping pre-COVID last year. There was also some panic buying around March, April as consumers were concerned about the impact of lockdowns, etc. So what we've seen is category-wise, the water category in the UAE over the last 11, 12 months has been on an MAT of around minus 12%. So the category in value terms has declined. So the competitive pressure's been there. I think what we're excited about, or what we're pleased about, is in the second quarter we saw our business return to growth. We saw our margins expand. So we start to see that the category situation is improving, and obviously we hope that continues into the future.
What about the yogurt business? Yoplait is one of your high-profile brands.
Yeah, Yoplay's done quite well this year. If we think about the dairy industry in general, has benefited from COVID. Significant category growth across the board, both here and in the GCC. I think as we look at our business, we have a combination of what you see in retail as consumers, but also what we do in food service. So last year, food service was significantly impacted. The good news for us is we're starting to see our food service business pick up. We've seen across the portfolio around 24% growth year on year to date. So that's a good sign, I think, for the economy that consumers are coming back, or visitors are coming back, and that industry starting to pick up.
Let's get onto those acquisitions now. Al-Foa Dates, one of the most high-profile acquisitions you've made. It's also essentially based in Abu Dhabi, where you are. It's now part of the Agthia portfolio. I know when we spoke about 8-9 months ago, you were really excited when this acquisition happened about what it could mean for the business. What actually happened in practice with the date business?
So, look, I think there's a couple of things. Dates, from a consumption perspective, last year was impacted by the fact that religious seasons across the region, particularly in Saudi, were impacted. So Saudi Arabia had a bit of an excess of volume as they came out the season. That put some pressure on pricing. On a year-to-date basis, we're really pleased with our Al-Foa business. Volumes are actually up. Revenue's pretty much in line with last year. But dates is also a very seasonal business. So we're just in the process now. Just this last weekend, we started seeing the first delivery of dates into our processing facilities in Alain. 200 tons came in over the weekend. This is when the season kicks off. We start processing the dates. With the real sales period for dates is between September and the end of March. So far, great progress in terms of how the business has been integrated. The team are doing a great job. Strategy is moving in the right direction, and I think significant optimization in costs so far.
I'm trying to imagine 200 tons of dates. I'm not entirely sure what that looks like, but it's clearly an awful lot of dates.
It's interesting, Richard. We process around 100,000 tons of dates per annum. We actually, the Al-Foa business is one of the biggest date processing facilities in the world. So it's something, it's got great potential. We want to move it more into consumer space. We want to move it more into consumer product space. We want to move it more into international markets. We're selling to India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, North Africa, some into Europe. We want to expand into the US. So it's something that we see a lot of potential in.
Alan, this is Sonal. I'm just going to jump in here because a big topic of conversation has been sustainability. When we talk about water bottles and plastic waste, it is obviously a concern. And I was down at a hotel in the capital and saw something interesting. It was Agthia. It was Alain Waters, and it was a plant-based bottle. Can you tell me a little bit more about developing that solution? And has there been more demand for this from clients?
We've been working with a number of key partners. I think it's a bit of it's great technology. So as you say, it's a plant-based bottle. It actually degrades within 90 days if you send it to landfill. So naturally decomposes. It brings some challenges around shelf life because obviously, when you put the water into the bottle, the product is actually the bottle is actually live. So it's the shelf life's about 2 to 3 months. So we need to make sure we manage the supply chain carefully. But we're working with a select number of partners. The number of partners is increasing, and it's great to hear that you've seen some of our products in one of the Abu Dhabi hotels.
So, Alan, what's next? You've been in the job around about a year now. It was summer of last year when you joined for a large multinational organisation. It's been a busy period. You've spoken about the acquisitions for Agthia. You've had not just the date business, but the bakery business in Kuwait. You talked about the Jordanian protein business. So are you done now with acquisitions? I mean, I'm thinking of a football parallel. Is this kind of it? The transfer window's shut, Messi signed, and you're good to go? Or are you still on the acquisition trail?
So we actually have one that's due for completion very soon. We announced last quarter, which is Agthia in Egypt, which is another processed protein business. Very nice business over there. We're just in the process of closing that. We expect to consolidate it. Hopefully in the next few weeks, all the regulatory approvals are done. So that's the next big step. We've also, set up our integration office. So the team are very much focused on how do we bring these businesses into the company effectively. One thing is buying companies. The proof is obviously in how you integrate them, the benefits you get both on top and bottom line. So that is a big priority for the balance of the year. We continue to look for opportunities, though, Richard. I mean, our stated ambition is to be a regional F&B leader by 2025, and part of that is, to grow inorganically. So we continue to look for the right opportunities, but we set down certain criteria. The opportunities need to meet that criteria. If they do, obviously we move. If they don't, we don't proceed. So we continue looking.
I love the idea of the integration team. I'm thinking of the metaphor of a team in Paris at the moment integrating Messi with Kylian Mbappe and also with Neymar as well.
I would love to have that problem, Richard.
Alan, it's good talking to you. Appreciate your time this morning. Alan Smith is the CEO of Agthia, big food company down the road in Abu Dhabi. They've been doing well, to be fair, for a long time. I mean, Alan Smith's been in the job for a year now. We've been speaking to Agthia for several years. It's one of the big success stories